I'd like to think very quickly about the sense of sound now. And here's a sound that you should all recognise. And it is, of course, the sound of the Intel brand. Now, a very clever piece of sonic branding, I believe, because without that very recognisable sonic logo, that's a brand that would essentially be completely hidden from you. But what we do know is that Intel spent about $300 million plus promoting that sound through co-sponsoring TV adverts. And yet, very, very clever branding, very, you know, a wise thing to do, I believe. And yet, what about this brand? Here's a brand that, again, you should be familiar with. You should have heard the sound. It's obviously the sound of the Intel ringtone, which was embedded and the default ringtone for every single phone that they sold. So equally recognisable, I believe, out there in the big bad wide world. And yet, Nokia spent absolutely $0 embedding that sound into their product. But equally a very powerful branding. And yet, quite interesting thing, being a little bit sad, I counted out in the film Love Actually how many times that Nokia ringtone was heard, and it was actually 9 times. Even sadder, I measured it, and it was actually 79 seconds of free product placement for Nokia, for which they spent absolutely nothing. So hopefully you can just very, in a simplistic way, start to see how senses can become a powerful part of your brand. Well, what I want to do next is take some of those simple ideas and show you how we have applied this in a hugely powerful way for a bank in Colombia called Helm Bank. And at this point I'd like to hand over to John to start to discuss that.
Okay, thank you very much, Simon. Good afternoon to all those of you watching in Europe, and good morning to those of you in the Americas. I'd like to talk to you briefly about a mid-sized bank in Colombia, which is very innovative, very brave, and is leading the world in actually delivering a multisensory branded experience to its customers. The bank was called Banco de Credito. It has rebranded to Helm. We'll show you the new Helm identity. I'm going to show you 2 films. The first of those films shows how very deeply Helm actually embedded multisensory thinking into their brand architecture, their brand structure, and their brand expression. We've brought this to life in 2 pilot branches. The first is in the middle of the major financial district in Bogota, and the second is in an up-and-coming district a little further away from the middle of town. So, without further ado, the first film is an internal film which was prepared to explain to the bank staff just how important multisensory was to their new brand.
Las decisiones de compra con mucha frecuencia tienen que ver más con impulsos emocionales que con análisis racionales. Los 2 sentidos que capturan la información para ser procesada racionalmente por el cerebro son la vista y el oído, precisamente los sentidos a los que apunta la publicidad convencional. No es que esta publicidad sea mala, simplemente cada vez es menos efectiva por la congestión visual y sonora de los medios masivos. Las marcas, en general, invierten grandes sumas para tratar de hablarle más fuerte al consumidor y contarle de los atributos de su producto, pero el público es cada vez más inmune. El tacto, el olfato y el gusto son los 3 sentidos subconscientes que envían información al cerebro y crean vínculos más fuertes de confianza entre el individuo y la marca, y por ende, mayor recordación. La vista se ve afectada por diferentes estímulos relacionados con el color, imágenes, gráfica y tipografías. Cada color, cada forma, su combinación, generan un efecto emocional diferente en el ser humano. Esa sensación que produce entrar a un lugar es un derivado emocional del tacto. Las diferentes texturas, tamaños y materiales producen sensaciones intuitivas que las personas codificamos, traduciéndolas en sensaciones que se almacenan en el cerebro. Es así como ciertos lugares nos evocan emociones y pueden afectar nuestro estado de ánimo. El tacto nos permite procesar información en varias dimensiones: estilo, temperatura, textura, consistencia y forma. El sonido genera diferentes efectos psicológicos y físicos, De acuerdo con las características físicas del sonido, podemos influir en los niveles de actividad de los clientes. Un incremento en el tempo de una canción puede alterar nuestro ritmo cardíaco o, por el contrario, llevarnos a estados de relajación. Las marcas también crean una identidad sonora, la versión sónica o musical de su logo símbolo, para identificarse cuando la imagen no puede presentarse. Los olores y los sabores cierran el círculo de la experiencia sensorial. A través de ellos se crean atmósferas y sensaciones de frescura y dulzura, que generan atracción inconsciente hacia la marca y aumentan nuestra disposición para comprar.
Okay, so it's clear from this internal film that Helm understood that they could connect with their customers at a deeper level and connect with them across all their senses to establish loyalty not just on the conscious senses, but at a non-conscious level as well. I'm about to show you a second film. The second film is divided into three parts really. The first part shows you the before and the after, so it shows you what the branch in the financial district looked like before we got to work on it, and it then shows you some of the after. We then dwell a little bit on some of the key sensory assets that we've created before taking you on a walkthrough of the branch in a virtual experience. So you should have with you, those of you that registered in time, you should have a fragrance, and you should also have a Helm branded suite. So in order to bring you as close as we can to these wonderful branches in the middle of Bogota, I would suggest that you open up your fragrance capsule and you get to enjoy the Helm suite. So if you'd like to do that, we will now play you the film. This is the old Banco de Credito, full of marble, very staid, dull queuing system, lots of blue. And here we start to unveil the new Helm. This is the transactional area. Looking down into the customer services area. We have two generative soundscapes. The first one, which you're listening to now, is in the customer area, designed to relax people, make it conducive to conversation. And now, derived from the same generative music, a slightly faster beat. This is being played in the transactional area, where efficiency is more important, perhaps, than taking your time to have quality dialogue. We have what we call a brand beacon, which is a hero point. We have a narrowcast beam of sound coming down on this visual representation of a tree with the sound of birds and the wind rustling through the leaves. Both of the branches are subtly infused with a brand fragrance, totally consistent with the brand values that you're seeing expressed through sight, that you're hearing through sound, working at a subconscious level to make people feel comfortable, to remind them of their experience. Touch has been fully integrated into our expression. Taste. You're hopefully enjoying or have finished enjoying your Helm flavoured sweet. It's also put into bottled waters, which are given out by a customer experience manager when people enter the branch. Here you'll be hearing the Sonic logo, which is distributed across all touch points. You can find it on the website. This is the queue management system. Here is the experience manager greeting the customer, handing her a bottle of Helm branded water. Here's the customer service area. There's the beacon with the sound of birds and gently rustling leaves. latest LCD technology with digital content. This customer is going to his teller in a private area, which in itself was a major innovation in Colombian banking. Here is the customer service zone with the customer advisors, acoustically designed for privacy.